that we don't have a true revelation of our identity. So when we accept Christ, we become adopted children into God's kingdom. Ephesians 1:5 says, God decided in advance to adopt us into his own family by bringing us to himself through Jesus Christ. This is what he wanted to do, and it gave him great pleasure. And I'm sure you're all wondering what this has to do with tithes and offerings, but I promise you, it is actually very significantly tied. So if our identity is as his sons and daughters, that means that we are actually co-heirs with Christ. And Christ is coming back for a church that values and has built the glory of God. So that means, congratulations to all of you. You have all joined the family business. It's very exciting that we get to be part of it. You have joined the family business that God is establishing through building his church, which is his people. And building the house of God truly is our Father's business. So when we think about bringing our tithes into the storehouse, we are not just bringing a tithe into the church, but I really want you to think about it from the perspective that you are actually investing into your Father's business. We are getting to labor alongside of Christ and build the vision for this house, which is a body of believers, a church that values the glory and the presence of God, a church that Christ is actually coming back for. When you inherit a business, there is a level of ownership and responsibility that comes with that. A business that is thriving, that is passed on to you, means that you are going to have to work hard to be a good steward of that business to make sure that it continues to do well. So if you think about a father that has spent his entire life building a business, building a legacy so that he could actually pass that legacy on to his children, his sons and his daughters, who will pick up the baton and carry it forward into the next generation, there is a lot of time that it takes for the sons and daughters to actually learn the business. There is an investment of energy that is required from the sons and daughters to make sure that they continue to help that thrive. And it also requires our prayers. The son has valued what has been built, or the daughter has valued what has been built and wants to be an active participator in it. If you have something that is already successful and it's handed on to you and it is now your responsibility to carry on the baton, you sitting on your couch is not going to help that be successful. Just thinking about oh, it'd be great if this works out. No, it actually requires your participation and investment in it to continue keeping it thriving and growing. So God's business is the salvation, discipleship, and equipping of his people. That is the business that we get to be a part of. And for each of us, sons and daughters, there is an inheritance that we get to take part in. Ephesians 1:11 says, furthermore, because we are united with Christ, we have received an inheritance from God. For he chose us in advance, and he makes everything work out according to his plan. So if you have actually been called and planted, this is a place that you are meant to put down roots. It is actually our responsibility as the sons and daughters who are co-laboring and picking up this legacy to participate in what is being built here. It's not just Pastor Robert and Pastor Wendy's church. This is our church. We make up this church. And so we actually have ownership in what happens. We have ownership in how well things work. We have ownership in helping to cultivate the glory and the presence of the Lord here, because it's not going to happen unless everyone actively participates in it. As sons and daughters, that is the inheritance that we get to be a part of. That's God's vision, that there would be a house that would be built and established so that the people of God may flourish. They would come to know their identity. They would be equipped to overcome the enemy and the things of this world. And it doesn't just apply to those of us that are sitting here now, but it's for the next person that's going to come through the doors. It is a generational legacy that we all get the privilege of being a part of. So this morning, as we think about our tithes and our offerings, I want you to think about it from that perspective, that it's not just Pastor Robert and Pastor Wendy's church. It's not just the church that you're attending, that you actually have an ownership and a responsibility and such a privilege to carry on the legacy of what is being built and established here in our generation and into the generation to come. Amen?